BYDFi is a crypto exchange on desktop and mobile where you can spot trade, futures trade, use leverage tokens, and copy the trades of top trade. There's hundreds of crypto available on their spot exchange, as well as a free test account so you can practice futures trading without getting wrecked. BYDFi.
Good morning, everybody. Let's have a little look at the charts, shall we? A bit of an overview. We'll start with the total 2, which is still responding to that 50 exponential on the weekly there. So, and also closing and opening within the range of accumulation. So, looking quite good. Looking quite good so far. No bull div, no nothing like that. Just a response on the top area of a golden cross on a weekly. So that's what this is. This is a golden cross retest. It might not be the 200 simple or 200 exponential, but it is a golden cross retest all the same. So V-shaped recoveries, can happen from here. They're as likely to happen from here as they are from here. Obviously, we always prefer the lower entries because you get way more back. But yeah, it's total 2's looking okay. It's looking okay. Right, let's get stuck into a bit of Bitcoin, shall we? So Bitcoin basically yesterday had a move back up to its 200 exponential as well, which is the opposite of the total 2. It's another death cross retest. So we saw that response initially from the big wick last week, and a big rejection from that area, back down to make a higher low wick-based candle, not candle body, wick-based, and back up to the 200 exponential once again. So, look, that is a green spinning top candle. So it doesn't know which way it wants to go, but considering that we closed green and we are moving back up again today, it looks like we're going to try it once again to hit that 200 exponential. And closures above there, that's not gold dust, but it's a good start. All right, it's a good start, and that price is 58,300. So if we go back over to the daily, we recognise still that we got bullish divergence on the daily, and not really on the money flow index, but on the RSI. So momentum to the downside is slowing. Doesn't mean that it's stopped, but it's slowing. It could have formed a low, but it's definitely slowing down. So if we do get rejected again, the most obvious destination is down here at 52,000 or just above, which is these areas over here, and then the big breakout. So that's the most obvious area. If we take ourselves over to the weekly as well, that's where our 50 exponential is sitting around 51,500. So over the next few weeks or so, these areas will be parallel with each other and offer a bit more of a sustainable support zone based on horizontals and on moving averages on higher term time frames. It's unfortunate that we don't have any bullish divergence on this, on any momentum over here, unfortunately, for the weekly. Yeah, and if you haven't guessed, I've got a bit of a cold. I'll be fine to do the stream tonight. I'll just take it easy, so don't worry. If you want to join me on the Patreon live stream, links in the description below. We'll look at whatever altcoin it is that you decide to present to me today. Right, so the 4 hourly, rock and a hard place, basically. Death cross retest of 50 exponential sitting at 58,000, more or less the same as the daily. And a 200 exponential fast approaching the downside aspect of this trend here. So with every 4 hours, it's going to get lower and lower and lower. Currently that sits at 62,350, and then the 200 simple 63,700. So much resistance above us. This is still a downtrend. There's nothing to change that at the moment. We have to have closures above certain levels to say that the downtrend is over. And if you really want to say that the downtrend is over with some conviction, it's going to have to close above about 64,000 to get above all of these areas over here. Arguably, you want to see it back into this area over here. And you might think, well, what's the point of that? I want to know if the bottom's in now. I want a long 100x. You can do that, if you want to. I mean, all trading is risk over reward. Is the risk too high to enter into a trade? If it is, then you don't enter a trade. And if you do enter a trade, recognize that the risk is high. Get stopped out, or even worse, completely wrecked. So it's still a downtrend until things have changed. And the first baby step would be to close above 59. But really, if you want to say that it's all over, it's back above 64,000. So have a look at Ethereum, shall we? For what it's worth. because it is worth something, but it's more or less a total 2 chart. In fact, I would say that the total 2 chart is better than Ethereum's chart, but we'll see. So basically, you can see once again the 50 exponential on the weekly, just like the total 2, offering support. It's also on the top of the Bollinger Band there. No bullish divergence on this weekly. It's just a matter of a golden cross retest. That's all it is. Take ourselves over to the daily, just the same as Bitcoin, pushing and getting rejected from that 200 exponential, but today we've already hit it, whereas Bitcoin has not. So Ethereum, just like I've been saying, I suppose for ages really, has the better chart. You know, it doesn't mean that it's going to make you loads of money or anything. In fact, it hasn't made any money. It's just gone down. But what I mean by that is that it's able to push and hopefully break resistances sooner than Bitcoin, or should I say, with smaller moves. So look, you know, we're talking 3,100 for Ethereum to start to maybe climb out of its current trend really. Same thing going on over here on the 4-hourly. 50 exponential death cross retest. You can climb and get outside of 3,130. Then the next move would be 3,350. You know, as far as momentum is concerned, it's just like a Bitcoin chart really. The 4-hourly showing continuous strength should push us up to this level and maybe back up to this level. But until we see breaks and closures above these major areas, which are these 200 exponentials, it's still a downtrend, all right? It's still a downtrend. Just got a little bit of hopium involved with the downtrend, that's all. That's all we've got. Let's have a look at the dominance chart then. So the dominance chart on the weekly still nudging onto that 20 moving average and the 21. And this is where we can get a little bit excited, because if we do start to see candles close, or at least on the weekly, start to push down below these areas, 54% dominance, we should actually look for 52% dominance. And that's only a 2% move, but you know, the altcoin market, or at least this chart, the Bitcoin dominance chart, is so heavily diluted with stable coins, and the market itself is like fully diluted with so many altcoins that basically a 2% pullback on the dominance chart probably would equate to maybe between a 10 to 30% move on some of these altcoins. And so the alt rally is good. Is good. Now, I have a few coins that I like. I've been sort of dollar cost averaging into them for the long haul, so I'm quite familiar with those charts themselves. And the one chart that I would highlight is not ICP. ICP is good for big bounces, definitely. There's a few that are good for big bounces. I have dollar cost averaged into this one, by the way, but it's VeChain. VeChain, one of my favourites, because I'm enjoying this. I know people don't like it anymore. It used to be really cool, but I do quite like it. VeChain is already showing more strength than the majority of other altcoins at this stage now. We came back down to all the way down to 2.3 and broke that. That was where my last dollar cost average buy order was. We actually wicked all the way down to 2 cent flat, which is pretty significant, to be honest with you, because my first entry was like 3.2 cents, then 2.7 cents, and then 2.3 cents. And so to see it keep coming down, I'm like, oh my god, when's it going to stop? But that's the whole point of dollar cost averaging, isn't it? So you can see on the daily that we're now pushing the Bollinger Band Center on this one. If you break from here, then it would be a nice move up to 2.9, and then hopefully up to 3.2, and then at that point there, this is where we decide if we're just going to get rejected and come back down again, or we break out. So some altcoins structurally better than others, but that doesn't mean that this one's bullish. It's not. This is a death cross. It's still a downtrend, but not all altcoins are created equal, which is why I urge, if you're interested in finding out which ones are good and which ones are not, that's what the Patreon's all about. If you are umming and ahhing about an altcoin that you are interested in, you can present it to me tonight, and we'll have a look at it together, see if it fits that model of better or worse than Bitcoin or Ethereum. And you know, at the moment, this one is better, but it doesn't mean it's the best one out there. I'm biased because I want this for the long haul, because I see a bright future. If anyone's watched my channel, or you know, is part of my Telegram, you'll hear me say all the time, all crypto for me is a tool to make money. I know everybody's out there trying to chase the 100x, you know, and occasionally we will get those. You know, I got one last cycle, I managed to do 100x. It was over to 100x actually on Matic. The cycle before that did about an 85x on XRP. You know, you can find these coins occasionally and get lucky with them, and you will make loads of X's. But for me, the most part is, am I going to buy something that's I'll sell for a higher price, or am I going to buy something that's I'm going to sell for a lower price? Obviously, all I want to do is buy and sell higher. That's all it is. It's just a tool to make money. And so I'm not saying this one's going to do 1,000 or 100 or maybe even probably won't even do a 20x, but it will do certain X's, and that's why I like it. I'm confident in it. That's all I'm saying. But right now, you know, I suppose it's nice to see that something is a little bit better than the two major drivers, which is Bitcoin and Ethereum, and the total 2. So this is a better chart than those. But there will be many others out there that will be better than this. But you know, we'll have to dig around for them. Okay, right. So that is basically it for now. You know, at the moment, it does look like we're going to continue. I would say that we are likely to continue with this rally, and I think that the rally, if we're going to get this rally and it continues over this week, will fizzle out around 64,000. That's where we start to get a little worried. You know, when we move up to that level, if we're going to get a bigger rejection, it's going to be, you know, around these areas between, I suppose, as little as 62 to as high as maybe 65. So we'll see. But I would expect Bitcoin to move into the 60s. Regardless if you're bullish or bearish. I think that's where we're going. So the continuation of this bounce, dead cat bounce, reversal, whatever you want to call it, I'm relatively confident that we're going to move into the lower to maybe mid $60,000 zone for Bitcoin, and it should also carry the rest of the market with it. And based on the dominance chart, I think that altcoins will actually outperform in this small period over this week. That's what I think is going to happen. So the money will likely be made in altcoins. But remember, we are looking at a downtrend. We don't know if a reversal has been put in. Dollar cost averaging for the long term, which is, I suppose, only over a year's time before the exit points, is also my main strategy at this point now. Some scalpy little trades have been done. I posted those, you know, on the Telegram. I'm not a signals group, but there can be trades made on these, you know, with using futures or whatever, or even just spot on these big bounces. Trades are trades, but most of the time, over the last 4 to 5 weeks now, my focus is building up a portfolio which I will sell around, from what I can tell, around about September 2025. And that's what this period is. The strategy has not changed at all since December, when I got out, or I was scaling out, should I say, of that alt season, the first major alt season that we had of this cycle, which was a decent one. You know, buying around October and then selling around December, and then, you know, buy the dip, sell the rip on this portion of the parabolic run. This here, I still believe very strongly, is an accumulation area to build up a portfolio once again for a much bigger run that takes us into sort of the back end, you know, third, maybe fourth quarter of next year. So recognize what I'm saying. You know, you buy into these areas and you sell much higher later. But it's still a tradable market. I still think that, you know, like I said, Bitcoin, the lower to mid $60,000 is where we will see this week. Whether we continue from there is a different story, but it does look like that's where we're going. Right, I'll leave it with you there. Thank you for watching. Like I say, Patreon, links in the description below. Other than that, hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.